Is our food, our sleep, our interaction with the external reality in which we are all caught up, how we manage ourselves, and all these issues. It's a little surprising that this sort of advice has been given after a very deeper verse which deals with, before this we have dealt with a lot of verses dealing with who is Aruruksha, an aspirant for Samadhi in Yoga Nishtha, and who is Arudha, and what are the ways of establishing oneself there. One is you have Indriya Nigraha and all kinds of things, so Nishkama Karma. Whereas when you want to do the final thing, what you need to do is mononasa, destroying the functions of the mind, which sort of keeps on jumping around. And then we had a long discussion in the light of what we have studied in the Yoga Sutras and the light of the long commentary on the verse number 15 by Madhusudana Saraswati ji. Having finished that, we are again coming back to certain things which might appear very trivial or very basic, but they're very important because for anything, as we discussed yesterday, if you need to build a very good bridge, whether it is a suspension bridge or any particular bridge, it has to have a very good substructure. You have to design the foundation and you have to design how you are going to have those girders and stuff like that. If you don't have a proper engineering design, only a fantastic superstructure is not going to hold it. So because you have to ensure as to how the weight is kind of distributed all over the structure so that no particular part sort of crumbles. Now here, Bhagavan similarly says if you want to do yoga and you want to sit at a particular place for long hours and be very strict with the way your mind functions and you want to reach that ultimate stage of Nirudha Samadhi after finishing some Pragyata Samadhi, which Vitamra Pragya, you pass through that, then you do Paravairagya, and you are kind of blessed with all sorts of benedictions, no ability to know everything, ability to control everything, but still you are continuing with the practice of what is called Viveka Khyati. Focus on the ability to see the difference, Anyata Khyati, between two things as we had discussed. What? That Sattva, Rupaka Buddhi, and the other one is Purusha, pure consciousness, and the perhaps in a certain way the individual consciousness which it has a name and a form, however conscious it might appear. End of the day is Drishya. It is not Drik Chaitanya. The ultimate Drik Chaitanya where you dissolve yourself is that Purusha, as per Sankhya. And then Madhusudana Saraswati had introduced the Vedantic secrets there that once you are going to reach that ultimate level of cessation of all thoughts, that cessation is not a mechanical end to the mental process, but it is tempered with, enriched with self realization through self understanding in the light of what? The Vedanta Vakyas. So, because you are someone who also reads Upanishads and you understand the secret message of Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi, Ayam Atman Brahma, and several other Vedanta Vakyas, you are continuously doing meditation, but this Nishkama Karma and yoga kind of speed up the whole process. Only intellectual meditation, Savana Manana and Nidhyasana, which is purely Vedantic, path, that works, but you can accelerate it. Like, for example, if you look at the cricketers or the tennis players, they also do some hours of gymming. Even though you might say that you're not going to be a gymnast, why are you spending so much of time in the gym? They need to sort of tune their muscles, get it ready for another game they're going to play, right? Like some of these cricketers, they play some football once in a while just to relax but keep the body fit. Now, so we want to do this sloka. The first one is Natyas natastu yogasti na chekanta manasnataha na chati swapnaseelasya jagrato naiva charjuna. So what is he saying? Na ati asnataha tu yoga asti. If you are somebody who eats a lot, asana is consumption of food, pipasa is thirst. Now, it's about consumption of food, but we look at it metaphorically in the light of some of the commentaries we have. Nacha ekantam anasnataha, and you decide you shall not take any food. So either you're consuming too much of food or you're not consuming food at all. You're starving yourself. Like you remember that image of Lord Buddha. It's a very lovely story, right? He started fasting. He almost starved himself to death because he thought, if I don't take food, where shall my mind get inputs to indulge in thoughts? But that was not samadhi, that was not moksha, the nirvana he was getting. What he was getting is death. And Sujata was walking by a small girl who put some milk into his mouth and resuscitated him, brought him back to life, and he realized, no. Therefore, then, their story is there, how to sort of have a certain balance in life. So I don't know, because there is this popular story that if you pull the string too hard, it breaks. But if you keep it loose, the instrument, the musical instrument, whether it's a guitar or a violin, the instrument doesn't play. So you have to have a certain balance, certain strain. That strain helps you get music. If you loosen it, no music. If you tighten it too much, it breaks. So you have to have that middle point. So na cha ati swapna silasya. Swapna here symbolizes sleep. So if you are too sleepy or fond of sleeping and dreaming, that means relaxing. If you're too much into it, that also will not help you, enable you to attain good yoga. Jagrato naiva charjuna, nacha jagrata eva. Neither you can decide to wake through nights and become an insomniac in the name of doing good work, that I want to be a yogi, I don't want to sleep at all. That's not going to work. Let's look at the commentary now, because sloka isn't much. It's very simple. And there is no secret meaning except that we can enrich our discussion by looking at it in a metaphoric way. Na ati asnataha Atma Sammitam Anna Parimanam. Whatever we are consuming, it should be in tune with how much the body and the mind requires. So if you're a sports person, what do you want to have? Food intake is going to be different from the food intake that you need to have maybe as a research scholar or a scientist or a mathematician. The requirements are also different. अतिथ्य अस्नतः अत्यस्नतो न योगः अस्ति न च एकांतम अनस्नतो योगः अस्ति. He's saying that if you take too much of food, na cha ekantam anasnato, and if you don't take food at all, or you take more than what your system requires, in either of these cases, this is not the best advisable step to take as a preparation for yoga. And he's quoting from Satapatha Brahmana to sort of reinforce this interpretation that this is the actual meaning. And Bhagavad Gita isn't the first text to say that. We also have texts earlier in the Satapatha Brahmana, because the whole Vedic knowledge is kind of summarized in Bhagavad Gita in a very succinct way. So he says, Yadu hava atma sammitam arnam tad avati tad na hinasti. Whatever you take, if it is atma sammitam, it's fitting with what you require, then annam tad avati. Annam is whatever food you take, that is ahara. So if you are consuming what exactly is appropriate for your requirement, your aspirational what you have in front of you, or the goals you have set for yourself. Of course, we are talking about sarva karma sannyasis here. We are not talking about the niskama karma yogis. These kind of things is saying, even if you have gone too high in your sadhana, you are no more doing what is called this niskama karma or upasana, this and that. Don't forget that you will still need to pay a lot of attention to the physical frame and how you manage it, even if you're a sannyasi. You can drop all the karma kandas, but you cannot drop the body, because that is the vehicle through which you're going to realize yourself in this life. This is the best opportunity. So he says, whatever avati, avarakshani. So whatever you take in appropriate amount is going to protect you, you're going to sustain you and resuscitate your senses, your whole system. And tanna hinasti, that shall not harm you, that shall not hurt you. Yad bhyo tad hinasti, whatever is more, that is harmful. Yad Tat yat kanyo na tadavati. And then if you take less than what you require, so that will not help you. Let's, for example, if there's a little boy, he requires, let's imagine, four chapatis, sabji, and a glass of milk. If you are giving him two or three, you are doing injustice. On the other hand, if you are giving six and two glasses of milk, you are harming him because the system will be lazy and you won't wake up in the morning to go to college or school. Okay? So he's saying, Tasma yogi na atma sammitat annad adhikam nyunamba asniyat. And therefore, you're someone who wants to do yoga. You should be very particular about how much food you're consuming. अथवा योगिन योग शास्त्रे परिपाठनाद अन्न परिमाणात अतिमात्रम अस्नतो योगो न अस्ति uktami ardham then we'll go to that. So basically in this sentence what he has said is that if you don't want to have a very basic translation of what we discussed right now, why don't you pay attention to the detailed advice which is available in different yogic texts. So if you go to different ashrams, you'll also find the food habits they have are all different, right? So if you go to some Shakta ashrams or mother worshippers, they still take fish and meat, and like the monks in the churches, they take meat and fish. And so also the Sufi saints and all, they take meat and fish. Dalai Lama takes non-vegetarian food, even though not very regularly as he says himself, but he is not saying no to it. On the other hand, you go to any Vaishnava ashram, you go to South India to Ramanuja or anything, those monks will not take any non-veg, right? So these food culture also varies from place to place and depending on the geographical and the climatic condition, geographical location, the associated climatic conditions, they are equally important. Then he says, Uktami ardham asanasya savyanjanasya trutiyam udakasya tu vayuha sansaranartham tu chaturtham avasesayet. This is one of the popular sayings. And of course, I do not know how much is of this is kind of supported by the modern health sciences. What he's saying is you should eat up to half of your capacity if you're consuming food. And then you should keep the third quarter for water, and there should be one fourth free. And that's a very healthy habit. You should not eat till you feel like throwing up. So you should sort of, once you are sort of consumed till the half capacity of whatever you can consume, you should say goodbye, thank you, to the dinner table or lunch table or whatever. इत्यादि परिमाणम, that is what is advised. तथा च न अतिस्वप्नशीलस्य योगो भवति न एव च अतिमात्रं जाग्रत योगो भवति च Arjuna. Oh Arjuna, the way food regulation is very important for you if you want to be a yogi and a sadhaka. You got to keep in mind same way you must also be careful about all other physical activities, especially your sleep. And I have read some of the books, especially the one by Shivananda, where he's giving advice. He gives some very good, regimen that you have to maintain to succeed in yoga. So you should sleep about 7-8 hours initially, and at a very high level of yoga. Of course, I was talking to some people in the Bangalore Center, that is Vyaswami Vivekananda University for yoga and research related issues. I talked to some people who are working on some neurological changes or brain waves and stuff like that. According to them, the ones who are doing yoga for 2 decades and more, they can relax their body even though they can sleep only for 3-4 hours because they suddenly get into what is called deep sleep very quickly. And the body relaxes and recharges itself much faster than if you have disturbed sleep and you're waking up again and again. So here it's not about sleeping more or less, it's having a balanced sleep schedule, not having sleep disorders, and sort of enjoying that particular moment of being out of the stress and strain of life. Let's look at whatever little he's saying, Madhusudana Saraswati. There will not be much in it. So he says this, Yajuktam Yad Bhuktam Sajjiryati sarirasya cha karyaksamatam sampadayati. Whatever we take, food, whatever, then it sort of enhances the capacity of the body to do work. Sampadayati. Tad Atma Samhitam Arnam. Whatever gives you the capacity to work, the requirement of your calories and other vitamins and protein and other things, the vital juices, you should give the body that. Tad atikramya lubhena adhikam asanato na yoga asti ajirna doshena vyati pidhitatvat. So if you consume more, instead of feeling relaxed and light, you're feeling heavy and you cannot meditate, and then you'll sleep for long hours. I was reading one of the texts about the life of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. It seems that they were having earlier on, they had no fixed schedule because there was no ashram or anything. Some of the young brahmacharis were staying with the master, were sort of eating a little heavy food and little late in the night, like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and he found that they're finding it very difficult to wake up early morning. So he put he told them that you have to eat early and eat light, have a heavier lunch. So you shouldn't go for a very heavy dinner, so that the body remains light. Okay. Ajinna doshena vyati pidhitatvat na cha ekantam anasnato yoga asti. On the contrary, if you decide that I'm not going to consume food, that is also not good enough. Because then what happens? Anaharat atyalpaharadva. Either because of no food or very little food, what happens? Rasaposhana abhavena. The required juices, you're supposed to, the secretion of juices get affected. So you may have dehydration, you may feel vertigo, you may have other physical problems. Then he's saying that sarirasya karyakshamatva, so that the body will become akshama, will become unable to discharge the functions and the duties which you have assigned it as the boss of this body and the mind. And then he repeats what we studied just now. Yadova atma sammitam annam tadavati annam hinasti yad bhuyo hinasti yad tad taniyona tad avati iti satapatha sritehe. He's just quoting it, repetition of what we studied right now. Yasmat yogi na atma sammitat annam annat adhikam nyunam ba asnya ityartha. And therefore, a yogi should not take more than what is required and should not take less than what is required. More is bad, less is insufficient. Puroet asanena ardham trutiyam udakena tu. And same thing that we read. Vayo sansaranartham chaturtham avasesaye. So you should keep the fourth quarter of the stomach or belly or whatever you call it. There should be some space, and there should one fourth of it should have water. Only 50% of the container should have food, depending on what you're eating. If you're taking protein tablets or something, you can, depending on what you're eating. If you're taking protein tablets or something, you can do with less. इत्यादि योग शास्त्रोक्त परिमाणा अधिकम न्यूनम वा अस्नतो योगो न संपद्यते इत्यर्थः. So whatever the science of yoga sort of prescribes for the aspirants and the students, you please have a look at it. Sampadhyate ityarthah. So whatever the science of yoga sort of prescribes for the aspirants and the students, you please have a look at it and talk to some of the guides and looking at your and talk to some of the guides and looking at your cultural habits, your geographical location, where you are placed, and your own personal food habits will give you what to take and what not to take. एकचकारः उक्त आहार अतिक्रम समुच्चयार्थः अपरो अपरो अत्र अनुक्त दोष समुच्चयार्थः. Anyway, that's not very important. It's actually this cha is mentioned twice. Na cha ekantam anasnatah, and then na cha atiswapnasilapa, then na naiva cha arjuna. You see, these three chas are there. So he's saying actually why they are giving like this and what is the purpose. Very academic. Yatha Markandeya Purani, then he's quoting, which is an interesting thing, and we can read it. Nad bhatah chuditas Sranto na cha vyakula chetanaha yunjita yogam rajendra yogi siddhartham atmanaha nati site na chevausne na dvande na nilanmite कालेष्वेतेषु युञ्जित न योगम ध्यानतत्परः इत्यादि. So from Markandeya Purana, he is quoting, there's a dialogue between a king and the yoga guru, whosoever is there. And there he's giving very important advice to the guy who wants to, whosoever is there. And there he's giving very important